Good evening. Today's daf is daf Lamed Daled. We're going to begin Lamed Daled Amud Aleph, 6 lines from the top. Gidol bar Re'ilai. The Gemara says, Gidol bar Re'ilai, this man Gidol, the son of Re'ilai, Shadar lo Gita le debesu. He sent a get to his wife through a shliach. Told the shliach, go give this get to my wife. Also shlicha. So the shliach went and ashkicha to have a yosve v'novla. He saw that this guy's wife was sitting and sewing. So Omar la, the shliach said, ha gitich, here is your get. He showed the woman that this is the get that your husband sent for you. But he didn't actually give the get to her. So Amra lei, so she said to him, Zil hashta, mia v'salamacher. He said, go now from here and bring the get back tomorrow. Also the gabe, so this shliach went out to this Gidol bar Re'ilai and v'amar lei, and he told the whole story. What happened? He says, I came to your wife, I brought her the get, and she told me, come back tomorrow to deliver it. So what happened? Pasach v'amar Gidol bar Re'ilai said the following words: Baruch hatev toiv ha'meitav, bless the good and the good. In other words, he said he was blessing Hashem that the shliach did not deliver the get. In other words, he was megala das, that he's happy the shliach did not give the get, but the problem is he was not mevatel the get beferish. He just said the words Baruch hatev ha'meitav. So now, what does he mean when he said Baruch hatev ha'meitav? So Omar Abaye says when he said Baruch hatev ha'meitav, yes, you're right. He said he was happy that the shliach did not deliver the get. However, nevertheless, the get is not bottled. Now, if the shliach is going to come tomorrow and deliver the get, but let's say, theoretically, if let's say he would have brought the get to her, she would have been megureshes. Rav says, no. Baruch hatev ha'meitav, when the husband's megala das, that he does not want to give the get by saying Baruch hatev ha'meitav, u'batal gita, and now the get is bottled. Okay, so that was the story, and as a machlekes, is the get bottled or not? Abaye said, he said Baruch hatev ha'meitav, but the get is not bottled. Theoretically, if it would have come the next day and mevatel the get would still be valid. However, Rabbi says no. Baruch hatev ha'meitav, he's been megala that he's happy the get wasn't delivered, and he's been mevatel the whole get. So the Gemara says, what exactly is Abaye and Rabbi arguing on? So the Gemara says, begilei daita begita kemiflagi. They're arguing in regards to gilei das to the get. In other words, when the husband now is megala das, he reveals, he shows his intent that he does not want to the shliach to deliver or on his shlichus, but not saying it clearly. He's just alluding to it by his actions. Do I say gilei daita begita is milsi or la milsi? So that's the machlekes. Begilei daita begita kemiflagi. The Abaye holds gilei daita begita la milsi. Abaye holds that even if somebody is megala das, that the get means nothing. If he did not say beferish that it's bottle, it is not bottle. No, just be megala das by hinting to it. It's not, the get is not bottle. But Rava holds that gilei daita begita milsi. However, Rava holds that being megala das by the get, it is something, and therefore by the husband being megala das, that he doesn't want the get to be given by saying Baruch hatev ha'meitav, so then the get is bottle. Now, the way the Chassam Sofer explains, he says that Abaye holds that since the shliach was appointed through dibur, he cannot be mevatel only with a beferish dibur. But if he's just being megala with a remez, so then he cannot be mevatel the mini ashlichus. And Rava holds that
when they say ksiva, write a get, not to give a get. It's not direct.
I'm not.
When you say about right, when the balabas, when the husband originally says to give a get, right? Does it have to be direct with his words give a get, or he can be direct?
Sure, he has to. Sure, he has to be direct. The question is, now that this guy said Baruch hatev ha'meitav, what is he saying by these words? Is he saying that he's happy that they didn't deliver the get because he wants to be mevatel the get, or he's saying whatever? He's just saying, thank God you didn't give the get, but
you have to counter the shlichus, right? The shlichus
Here he has to
the way to counter it
Yeah.
has to be direct.
correct. Yeah. Okay. Now, so that's the machlekes. The machlekes is, do I say gilei daita begita? Do I say that by get or not? Now, Rava says, Rava says, who again, Rava holds that gilei daita begilta is a milsehi, and therefore he's going to hold that in this story by saying Baruch Hateva Meitiv the get is bottle. So he says, Mina Allah, where do I know that gilei daita begita is milsehi? Rav Sheshes Ashkele Gita Lahu Gavra Bal Karcha. He says that Rav Sheshes forced a person to give a get against his will. He forced people that they should write a get and give the get. He forced the man to give the get, and people should write the get, and he should give the get to the wife. Now, after they wrote the get, the husband now tells the Eidim that were commanded by Rav Sheshes to sign, Hachi Amar Lechu Rav Sheshes. This is what I heard from Rav Sheshes. Li Batal Gita, the get should be Batal. And now, Ba'atzach Rav Sheshes Gita Achina. And Rav Sheshes required this guy to give another get. Even though he didn't say befedish that the get is Mevatal, he's Megaladas that he wants the get to be Batal. So I see clearly from this story that the get is Batal. As if Gilei Daita, Rav is telling you, if Giloi Daita Begita is Lav Milsi, how did this person be Mevatel the get? What did he say? He said the words, he was forced to give a get, and then he comes and he tells the Eidim, Rav Sheshes said the get is Batal. Basically, what is he saying? He's saying that I don't want to get. So if he's saying that I don't want to get, I see that Milsa Daita Begita, Gita is Milsi. So the Gemara says, Ve'abaya, how's Abaya going to answer this question? Abaye says, "Oto Reb Sheshes mevatel gito de inshe hava." Does Reb Sheshes, could Reb Sheshes be mevatel somebody else's get? In other words, what Reb Sheshes said that the get is batel. That the husband is saying that Reb Sheshes says the get is batel. He's saying that he's not saying that he's not saying that Reb Sheshes is saying that it's batel. He's saying that the husband is saying that he wants it to batel. But what is he saying? The husband is saying the husband is battle. The husband is being mevatel the get befedish. And this that he said that Reb Sheshes said that the get should be bottled. In other words, he didn't say it clearly. Is because mishum dapanoi, because of the people that hit. In other words, he was afraid that people are going to hit him by not listening to Reb Sheshes. Therefore, he said Reb Sheshes commanded to be mevatel the get, but that's he just wanted to avoid getting hit. But really, Abaya tells me that Giloi Daita Begita is Lav Milsi. And the reason why over here it worked is because really the husband was mevatel it, and the reason why he just said Reb Sheshes is because he didn't want to get hit. Now, Abaya says, again, Abaya was the one who said that Milsa. Abaya was the one who said Gilei Milsa Begita Lam Milsi. So he says, where do I know that a get is not bottled? Just be Megaladas. So he says that Rabbi Yehuda Ashkele Gita Lechasne Debei Rabbi Yirmiyah. Rabbi Yehuda sent a get to the son-in-law of Rabbi Yirmiyah Bidoi. In other words, he forced the son-in-law of Rabbi Yirmiyah of this Yirmiyah Bidoi to give a get to his wife. He forced this guy to give a get to his wife. And Ubatle, and now this son-in-law, this guy, was mevatel the get before it was given to the wife. And what happened? Tana Ashkele. Again, Rabbi Yehuda forced him a second time that a get should be written, and he should give the get. Again, and the Gemara says Ubatli, and again he was mevatel it. Hadar Tana, and then Rabbi Yehuda again the third time when this guy tried playing games. What happened? Again he forced this guy to give a get to his wife. And he said to the witnesses, he said, take cords, put them in your ears, and don't listen to if the guy is going to be mevatel, and just write the get. Now, and if he's going to mevatel the get in front of 2 or 3 people, the get will not help. Why? Because Rabbi Yehuda holds like Reb Shimon Gamliel that if he was mevatel shlei b'fnei shliach, the get does not bottle even b'diavad. So what do you see from here? So again, we have this story. Abaya says that where do I know that Giloi Daita Begita is Lav Milsi? Because I see from this whole story that Rabbi Yehuda forced Rabbi Yirmiyah Bidoi to give a get, and he was mevatel once, mevatel a third time, and then mevatel a second time, and then it came along a third time. And he made the guy give a get, and he told the Eidim, don't listen when he is going to be mevatel. Don't listen to him. Now, Abaya comes and concludes his raya. And now, if he is correct, if Rav is correct that Gittin Milsa Begita is Milsahi, then Hachazi laid the Koroit Basrai. They see that this husband is running after them. And nevertheless, what did he tell him? He told him, don't listen to him. Rabbi Yehuda said, do not listen to this husband. So what do we see from here? And even a Gilei Milsa doesn't help. The guy could be screaming, the guy could be hinting that he doesn't want to give the get. He told him, put the headphones in your ear, put on full blast, soundproof, don't listen to what the Eidim say. So from here, Abaya has her proof that Milsa Begita, the Gilei Daita Begita is Lav Milsa. Now, the Gemara says, what's Rava going to answer to this story? He says like this: Hu de Koroid Basroi. This that the husband is running after the Eidim, to Amalahu, he's telling them basically, Ashur Habu Le Haya. In other words, give the get very quickly. Why? In order that the tsar of this person, in other words himself, should be complete. So in other words, it's difficult for him to give the get. So even though Rava holds that Gilei Das by a get does help, over here we're not talking about Gilei Das. Why? Because the Eidim don't know what the kavana of the guy running after him. If it was to be mevatel, or maybe it was just to be mezares the inyan. Back to the Gemara says, Abaya says, Mina lo, where do I say? Where do I know that Gilei Milsa, the Gilei Daito, Begita is Lav Milsahi? So Abaya says, there was a story of a certain person that divorced his wife before he went on his travel. The Amr Lahu, he told Eidim, if I do not come back in 30 days, then this get that I'm giving you should be a get. Now, we had the story already once. Also, at the end of the 30 days, what happened? He came, but there was like a ferry that was blocking him. And he wasn't able to go on the side, to cross over the river to bring the get. So Amr Lahu, in other words, to be mevatel the get. So Amr Lahu, so he called the people over, and he said, Chazuda asoi, look, I'm coming to be, I'm being Mekayim my Tanai, and I came back b'sei shleishim yom. So, and he's saying, what did he say? He says, here's a get, and he says, if I don't come back in 30 days, then the get will be bottled. He comes now in the midst of 30 days, and he says that the 30th day is about to finish, and I'm here, and the only reason why I can't come is because a ferry is blocking me. So he says, I was Mekayim tonight. Now, Omar Shmuel, what does Shmuel say? Lo yishma masya. This is not considered coming, and therefore the get is considered a good get. Why? Because he was not Mekayim tonight of coming back in 30 days. Now, over here in this story, for sure, the guy was Megaladas, the husband was Megaladas, that he doesn't want to have the get. And nevertheless, what do we see? Shmuel Paskins that she is divorced. So we see from this story, we see that Gilagidas by a get does not work. Now, the Gemara says, Rava, what's he going to answer that story? Atu hasam levatule gita boy. Is over there, are we talking about being mevatel the get? Hasam the kiyume tanaika boy. Over there, he just wants to be mekayim the tonight. He made a tonight that if I don't come back in 30 days, then it's going to be a get. Well, yikayim tonight. And Lemaisa, he was not mekayim tonight. And that's why that's why there's a divorce. But if it was megaladas, that the Ratzin is to be mevatel the get, without the tonight, be'emes, it would be megurashes. Okay, now the Gemara brings another story. Today's story day. Hahu the Omar Lahu. There was a Maisa about a certain person that was Mekadesh's wife. He gave a kiddushin to his wife, the Omar Lahu, and he told Eidim, if I do not get married to this woman in 30 days, I'm not going to bring her to the chuppah in the next 30 days, then this should be a get. In other words, he gave a get, and he made a tanai with Eidim that she should be divorced if they do not get married in 30 days. What happened? When, in the olden days, they didn't have a Levi Fagenson to prepare the chasna, so they took a long time. The chassan himself, the family would go and prepare the wedding. It would take months. So what happened? This guy, she wanted to make sure that she's getting married. She wanted to make sure that there's taka going to be a marriage. So he says, look, I'm mekudeshes to you, and if I don't marry you in 30 days, here's a get, you're a potter for me. Now, comes along in the 30 days, at the end of the 30 days, so the chassan tells the Eidim, I'm being tereach, I'm preparing myself in tzarech achupa, and I'm doing everything I can, I'm preparing the food. What do you want from me? So he's like an einis. So basically he's saying that since I'm an einis, I'm doing everything I can to prepare for the chassan, and I don't have enough time, so einis should not be megureshes. So the Gemara says in the story, Lamai necheshla. Why shouldn't the Gittin work? If you're telling me, what?
If he's so concerned, why do you speak up in the middle? Why is he waiting until the end?
He's doing his best. He's trying his best to prepare the wedding.
2 weeks into it, he'll say, I can't do it.
Yeah, but if I can't do it, is that enough? So that's what the Gemara says. If because of einis, then ein einis begittin. I don't say any. The din is that we don't say einis begittin. In other words, if somebody makes a tanai by a get, and for whatever reason he cannot be mekayim the tanai because of einis, we said ein einis begittin, and there's still megureshes. So if mitzad he's an einis because he's trying his best, we don't care. Ein einis begittin, and therefore the get should be chal. Imishum glui daita begitto. But if it's because he's being megala das, and he's saying that the Tanai was Einis, and he's being Megala, he's saying, I'm an Einis, and I'm being Megala Das, that I don't want to be divorced. The Gemara says, Pluksad Abaya B'Ravahu. We already said this is a machlekes between Abaya and Rava, and in this case, the halacha is going to be like Abaya, that Gilei Das does not help to be Mevatel the Kiddushin, the Gittin, and therefore the Gershon is Chal, exactly the way he made the Tanai. Okay, now the Gemara brings another story. Hahu da Amar Lahu. There was a Maisa that a person was Mekadesh a woman to Amar Lahu, and he said in front of Eidim, if I don't get married to her by Rosh Chodesh Adar, Lehev Gita, this should be a get. He gave the get, and he made a Tanai in front of Eidim that she will be divorced if they don't get married by Rosh Chodesh Adar. So now what happened was when Adar came, Amar Lahu, the chassan said, I thought I said that if they don't get married till Rosh Chodesh Nisan. In other words, he was so certain that he said to Rosh Chodesh Nisan, and that's why he didn't get married. He thought he has another month to get married. So the Gemara says, what? Why shouldn't the get be chal? Again, if because you're going to say it was a mistake, it was einis, with the din is ein einis begittin. There's no einis by gittin. Now, imishum gelui daiten. If you're going to say because he's megala das that he's showing that he doesn't want the gershon, we already said pluksad abaya b'rova, and the halacha is like who, like Abaya. So the Gemara concludes and says v'hilchasa kenachman. The halacha is like Nachman, that who said, if you remember, we had the other day that a machlekes in front of how many people. When the husband's mevatel the get in front of how many people? 2 or 3. So the answer is the halacha is like Nachman, even 2. V'hilchasa kenachman, and the halacha is also like Nachman, and v'hilchasa kenachmeni, and the halacha is like Abaye. In other words, like this: we said before in Daf Lamed Beis Amud Aleph that you have to be mevatel the get in front of either 2 or 3. So that they were mevatel the get in front of 2 people according to the Takanas Rabbi Gamliel. So that's the halacha like Nachman. The halacha from Nachman, who said before in Daf Lamed Gimel Amud Beis, the halacha is like Rebbe and the 2 who argues with Rabbi Shimon Gamliel in a case that if they were mevatel, we said before that Rabbi Gamliel said that they have to be mevatel to get in front of the woman and the shliach. So what if b'di'eved the husband was not mevatel? Or let's say, can you be mevatel miktsas? Can you mevatel part of the part of the group, not in front of the other. Let's say there's two eidim, you batal one aid, you told the one aid that it's batal, does that work? So we said the halacha is like Nachman. And the third thing we said is the halacha is like Abaye, that Gilei Das does not help to be mevatel the get. And like Rashi says, usually whenever there's a machlekes between Rav and Abaye, the halacha is like who? Like Rava. Except in 6 cases. This is Rashi Tevis, Yael Kigam. So this is going to be the gimel of the Kigam is Gilei Das. Here the halacha will be like Abaye, that Gilei Daitoi does not help to be mevatel a get. Now Rashi says that, very interesting Rashi, V'nida be'enai, al shem shirabba bar Nachmeni gital Abaye. Abaye was a yosem. Who educated him? Who brought him up? It was Rabba bar Nachmeni. V'lomdu teira sh'hara hayo yosem hisiu al shem aviv nisman Rabba stam hu Rabba bar Nachmeni. So when we say Kinachmeni, why do we say Kinachmeni? The halacha is like Abaye. Why do we say Nachmeni? Because Nachmeni was the one who actually raised him. He raised him. Now, in Rikiv Eger, he brings down on the side, Gilyon Hashas, he brings down, let's look inside, Uba Aruch Abaye Kosa B'Shem Againim, the Nachmeni Shmoi. No, really his name was Nachmeni. Bar Achved Rabba bar Nachmeni. He was the nephew of Rabba bar Nachmeni, and he also was a student of Rabba bar Nachmeni. He came to have a Shmei Nachmeni, Kishem Avua Rabba bar Nachmeni, since he had the same name, this child had the same name, Nachmeni, as Rabba bar Nachmeni. He did not want to call Abaye by his father's name. So he called him Abaye, because what is Abaye? Abaye in Aramaic, in Aramis means Avi, my father. Some Mefarshim want to say that Abaye is Rosh Tevis, Asher B'cho Yerucham Yosem. So it's brought on the Sefer Yuchsin, that he was a Yosem. Very interesting. Fine. Anaya Mishnah. The Mishnah says like this. The Mishnah brings other takonis that Rabbi Gamliel instituted in Gittin. She says like this. Number one is, but Ishayno, initially, Hoyemishana Shmai Ushma Shem Ira V'Shem Ira. Initially, the husband would change his name and her name. So, from the names by which they were known, if let's say they lived in one place, let's say they lived in California and they were known in one place, and now they're coming to New York and they're known in New York as a different name. So, but that wherever he was known in that place, or wherever the writing of the get was in that place, that's what they wrote on the get. Now, Rabbi Gamliel instituted that, what should be written? Ish plaini b'chol shum sheyeshli. He instituted that the sefer should write on the get, the man so-and-so, and any other name that he has. As well, Isha plaini b'chol shum sheyeshli, mipnei tikkun ha'olam. Also the woman so-and-so, and any other name that she has. And the reason why was mipnei tikkun ha'olam. And like the Gemara is going to explain, that people of different city would not recognize the name written on the get, and would claim that the get does not belong to her, not knowing your husband's not this guy, your husband's somebody else, not knowing that in that city he was this guy, in this city he's known as somebody else. Okay, now the Gemara says, Amr Yehuda Amr Shmuel, Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel, the people, the residents of overseas center Gamliel, they said, with regard to people who come from Eretz Yisrael to here, for example. So he's coming from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz, and Shema Yosef. His name in Eretz Yisrael is Yosef, V'keren Le Yechanan. So his name is Yosef, but here they call him Yechanan. Or V'keren Le Yechanan, the opposite, his name is Yechanan, and V'keren Le Yosef. So hey, so they ask, how did they exactly write their get? So Amar Rashi skip, sorry. Omar Rabbi Gamliel, so Gamliel got up, the Hiskin Shia Kaisvin, he was Masakin and said, Ish Pleni V'chol Shum Sheyeshplei, Ish Pleni V'chol Shum Sheyeshplei, Mnei Tikkun Ha'olam. Amar Rashi, now, Rashi says, when do I say that he has to write all the names, and all the other names, V'chol Shum Sheyeshplei, is when, the Itachsak B'trei Shmei, as long as there's a Chazaka that this guy has two names. Amalei Rabba Abba.
First name that you write. Which is the first name?
The main name.
The main
You write is,
one with the name?
yeah. Let's say his name is Yankel. Let's say his name is Yaakov, but everybody calls him Yankel or Yankela. So it's a nickname.
Yankel and Yosef, I'm saying it's two different names.
That's something else. That's something is that in California he's known as Yechanan, and New York everybody calls him Yosef. So what do you do? So you have to write both names, but only if it's a chazaka. It's people know that Hitak has two names. Okay. Amalei Rabba Abba Rabashi Rab Mori Rab Elazar Kaimi Kavasech. He says Rabba said that Rab Ashi, Rab Mori, and Rab Elazar hold in accordance with your opinion. Tanya Kavasech Rab Ashi. It was taught in a brayso in accordance to the opinion of Rab Ashi. If a husband has two wives, achas b'Yehuda v'achas b'Golo, one wife in Yehuda and one wife in Golo, and he has two names, echad b'Yehuda v'echad b'Golo. So this husband has two wives, one in Yehuda, one in Golo, and he has two names. One he is known by in Yehuda, and one he is known in Golo as a different name. And he divorced his wife in Yehuda. He divorces his wife who is in Yehuda with a get listing the name that he's known by in Yehuda. And he divorces his wife who's in Galil with a get listing the name that he's known in Galil. So the halacha is Eini Megureshes. Why? Achi Yigaresh is Ishtei Shebehuda Shmei Shebehuda V'Shem the Galil Imay. Ves Ishtei Shebegalil B'Shmei Shebegalil V'Shem Yehuda Imay. So if he's known, again, he has two wives, one in Galil, one in Yehuda, and he's known in one name in Galil as one name, in Yehuda as another name. And now what happened is that he did not write both names. So the halacha is Eini Megureshes, he has to write both names. Now, then he says, Yotz.
You don't write the words Chol Shum Sheish.
Yeah, Chol Shum Sheish. So you're right, Hamachuna B'Shem, which is known. No, you're right, Hamachuna B'Shem. I believe you're Hamachuna B'Shem, Hamachuna B'Shem, Hamachuna B'Shem. The guy has a gazillion nicknames. Okay, Ves Ishtei Shebegal Yada. Then he says, Yotza L'Makim Acher. If he leaves to a different place, and the din is v'gerish b'achad mehem. If he leaves to a different place and divorces his wife with a get, listing only one of the names, the din is meguresha. So now here comes the raya. You just said that even in Yehuda's name used by people in the Galil must be appended to it. Has to be written. Must be hadi taksik had loy taksik. If it's known that he has two names, you have to write two names. But if not, then you don't have to. Shmami no. Then the Gemara brings the last Maisa, and we'll conclude with this story. Hahu dahavel kare le Miriam. There was a certain woman who many people called Miriam, who poured to Sarah, and a few people called Sarah. Amrin Hardai, the Chaver in Hardai said, Miriam v'chol shum sheyesh lo. And the get has to be written Miriam and any other name that she has. But le Sarah v'chol shum sheyesh lo, and one should not write Sarah and any other names that she has. Because you have to use the name that she is primary known with. Okay, let's do it. Miriam is the main name, so you have to use that. Okay, Shaiki, you guys ready for Chazara? Yeah, keep it on for Chazara. Okay. All right. I want to give a big shekayach to Shaiki, Boaz, Menachem Greenwald, Yo Safran for coming every night. After Seder, after the yeshiva, they come prepared to set up and they learn. It's very, very nice to see. And of course, it's shekayach to each and every one of you who show up and online. It's Baruch Hashem. We're having a lot of fun over here. All right. We started off today's share. Like I said, there's a bunch of stories today, so we'll go very, very quickly. There was this guy named Gidol Bar Re'iloi. He sent a get to his wife through a shliach. The shliach comes and he sees that this guy's wife is sitting and sewing. So he says to her, here's your get. So she said, come back tomorrow and bring the get. So he comes back to Gidol Bar Re'iloi and told him what happened. So he said, Baruch Hatev HaMeitiv. So when he said Baruch Hatev HaMeitiv, what does he mean over here? So Abaye says, Baruch Hatev HaMeitiv, very nice, but the get is still valid. Rava says, Baruch Hatev HaMeitiv, and he is being mevatel the get. So the Gemara says, what's the machlekes? begilei daita begita kemiflagi. If the guy is just being megala das, in the get, do I say gilei daita begilta is a milsa or not? So Abaye is going to hold that gilei daita begita is lav milsihi, and therefore the get is still a get because he did not say beferish that he's being mevatel the get. Rava says no, gilei daita begilta is milsihi, and therefore the get is considered a get bottle in this story. Rava says, where do I know that gilei daita begita is milsihi? So he says that there was a story that Sheshes forced the guy to give a get to his wife and told the witnesses, forced a guy to give a get to his wife. So this Chaverman tells the witnesses, Rabbi Sheshes told me to get his bottle. And what happened? Rabbi Sheshes had to rewrite the get and force him again to write the get. So what do we see from here? We see that since the guy didn't say beferish, even though the guy didn't say beferish to get his bottle, nevertheless to get his bottle. So the Gemara says, how's Abaye going to answer? The Gemara says, you think Reb Sheshes can be mevatel the other guy's get? How can Reb Sheshes be mevatel somebody else's get? Elamai, what happened over here? The guy was mevatel the get, but he said Reb Sheshes' name because he didn't want to get beaten. Now Abaye says, where do I know this word of gilei daita begita is lav milsi? So he says because Reb Yehuda also forced this Reb Yirmiyah Biroi, the son-in-law of Reb Yirmiyah Biroi, to give a get, and he was mevatel the get. He forced him again. He was mevatel the get. He tells the Eidim it's not a get. The get is bottle. Third time he tells Reb Yehuda says, put earplugs in your ear. Don't listen to what the guy tells the Eidim, and you should sign the get. Now over here, obviously the guy's being megala das that he doesn't want to have the get. And what did I say? I say the get. What do I see from here? I see that even if it's megala das, the get is still a good get. Must be the gilei daita is la milsi. So the Gemara says, Rav is going to tell you that that's not the story. Over here, it's nothing to do with gilei daita or not. Over here, the guy is pasha telling him quickly he's telling the Eidim quickly go and write the get so we can get out of this misery. Then the Gemara brings another Maisa. Okay, so then Abaye says, where do I know this? He says, because there was a guy who was Mekadesh's wife and said, if I don't come back in 30 days, if I don't marry in 30 days, sorry, there was a guy who told his wife, he gave a get, and he says, if I don't come back in 30 days, the get will be chal. Comes the 30th day, and there's a fairy that's blocking him from coming. So he tells everybody, he starts screaming, Chazuda Asoy, Chazuda Asoy, you see that I'm over here? And what does Shmuel say? That's not considered a biyah. So what do we see from here? And this guy's being megala das, that he mamish doesn't want to have the get. And nevertheless, what do I say? It's considered a get. Must be, Abaye is correct, that gilei daita begita is la milsi. Rava tells you, no, over there has nothing to do with gilei daita. Over here is pashet b'tzad kiyum tonight. He's saying that I was mekayim my tonight, I came back. And he's saying, no, you were not mekayim tonight. There's another guy, he was Mekadesh's wife and said, if I don't get married in 30 days, it will be, you could use this get. Comes the 30th day, and the guy's saying, I'm doing my best to prepare for the wedding. So the Gemara says, why wouldn't it be a good get? If mitzad oynis, einis begitin. And if mitzad gilei daita begilta, we said already, machlekes between Abaye and Rava, and the halacha is like Abaye. Then the Gemara says in another story that there was a man who said, if I don't get married by Rosh Chodesh Adar, then she will be divorced. Comes along Rosh Chodesh Adar, he says, Rosh Chodesh Nisan. So the Gemara says, what's the problem? If it's Einis Begitin, the same thing. Gilei daita, also the halacha is like Abaye. So the Gemara says, the halacha is like Nachman, who says before that it has to be Fnei Shnayim. Then we said, the halacha is like Nachman. And the third thing we said is, the hilchasa is like Nachmani, which means Abaye. We said that Gilei daita is Begita is la milsihi. And then we brought down that this is one of the only times, the 6 places in Shas, that the halacha is like Abaye b'yayil kagam. And we brought down from Rashi is that his name was really, Abaye. Why do they call him Nachmani? Because Nachmani raised him. Then we brought down from the Gilin Hashas, from the Aruch, from the Rabbi Kiva Eger, that really his name was Nachmani, but Rabbi Nachmani didn't feel comfortable to call his stepson or adopted son by his father's name, so he named it Abaye. This is also the idea of Asher B'cho Yeruchim Yosem. Okay, then we brought down the B'rishena in the beginning that We said at the B'Rishayna Mishana Shmei Ushma that he would make sure to write the names of how where he was now and the year where he was now, not where he originated from. And Gamil says that he has to write Shekosev Ish Pleni B'Chol Shum Sheyesh Lo Ish Pleni B'Chol Shum Sheyesh Lo Plei Tikkun Ha'olam. So Yehuda Amar Shmuel says they send Sholchu Leim B'nei Medinas Hayam. They sent to Rabbi Gamliel people who come from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz, and their name is Yosef, and they're called Yechanan, or Yechanan called Yosef. How do they megash nishayin? So Rabbi Gamliel says they have to write it Ish Pleni V'Chol Shum Sheyesh Lo Ish Pleni V'Chol Shum Sheyesh Lo. Why Plei Tikkun Ha'olam? Rashi says as long as it's a chazaka that they have both names. So Amar le Rab Abba le Rab Ashi, that you should know Rab Mari and Rab Elazar also hold like you. Tani Kav say to Rab Ashi, if a person had two wives, and one wife in Yehuda, one wife in Golol, and he had two names. One name he was known in Yehuda, one name in Golol, and he's megarish his wife in Yehuda with the name that he's known in Yehuda, and his wife in Golol with the name that he's known in Golol, but he doesn't write the other name, any Mugareshes. He has to write both names. But if he goes to another city and writes one name, that's okay. What do you mean? You just said that in the case of his Isha Shebegolo Shebeima, you have to write both names. Elamai must be. When there's a chazak of both names that people know about it, you have to write both names. If not, then only one name. Then we left off with the story that there was a lady by the name of Miriam, and some people called her, remember? Sarah. And they said Nardoi, that you have to write in the guide, Miriam v'chol shum sheyesh lei, and not Sarah v'chol